What is up, you guys? You got Esmeralda here coming at you guys with something new. In today's video, we're gonna get into the spooky vibes since it's finally October. If you guys don't like scary stories by any chance, please go check out my last video. I'm doing an unboxing video in that one. If you guys hear talking in the back, it's my brother and he's watching anime, so yeah, he's hyped. So today's video, I'm not gonna give out the website here because that website has not sponsored me, and I'm not gonna give some promo. Now, something that I've noticed about these stories is that some of them are just 2 sentences, some of them are actual full stories, and some of them are probably not as scary as they make it seem. So this is actually my first time reading this page, this website. If you guys have any other websites that I could read, let me know in the comment section below. Maybe I'll do like a SFX makeup look inspired by that story. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, let's just jump right into the video and let's change the mood just a tiny bit. So grab your popcorn, grab your drinks, and let's just jump into this video. All right, the first story is a 2-sentence horror story. I finally found my wife, the kidney she needed. It took forever to track down everyone she donated organs to after the crash. Story number 2 is Mom Averts Danger. It starts off by saying, I've posted this on my other account, copying and pasting it here. The scariest thing I've had happen while camping. So I live in Eastern Oregon and my mom lives in Western Oregon. I went to visit her for the summer and she's very outdoorsy. So we decided to take the 1-hour drive from her city to the coast. We end up at this free campsite at the top of this hill, huge foothills of the coastal mountains. About 25-minute drives from the top where the campsite is to the bottom where the main road was. And we were the only campers there. We relaxed for the rest of the day, made food, etc. A truck full of men drive up the hill and talk with my mom. I don't know what about. And then they leave us. Fast forward to the middle of the night, I wake up to my mom sitting straight up in the tent. I wake easily, so I heard her gasp and it woke me. As soon as she saw I was awake, she put her hand over my mouth because I was starting to ask her what's wrong. It was dead silent, and all of a sudden you hear footsteps right beside the tent. The little flap that covers the zipper was even moving. Thankfully, my mom has quick wits and said very loudly, Kenny, grab the gun. Kenny is my dad, although that doesn't matter. Mind you, he was not there. Just us girls, like I previously said. They left. No harm was done. Thank the Lord for my mama. Well, I mean, that's scary because, like, can you imagine just you camping and you and your mom camping in the middle of the night and it's just supposed to be you two? All of a sudden, like, someone's next to your tent? I don't think so. Jason, was it you? The third story is Ouija board knocks back. In high school, my friends and I were messing around with a Ouija board one night. We had done it before and nothing remarkable had ever happened. We usually did it to try and scare each other or our girlfriends. We all thought it was a joke. That night, there was no one else home except the 7 of us, and we were all together around the board. One of the girls there wanted to try it. She had never done it before. This time was different. The board misspelled some of the words the same way every time. It gave answers that seemed really historically accurate for our town. Things we never knew or cared about. Long story short, the spirit claimed there was a 10-year-old boy who had died on the property in 1800 and was buried there in an unmarked grave. My friend's house was on a farm in the edge of town. We were all a little freaked out because the board had never been so detailed and consistent. However, we were still skeptical. We were all assuming one of us was trying to scare the rest. Finally, my friend asked if the spirit could do something to prove he was there with us. It went to yes and then spelled out knock. Then the planchette stopped moving. We all stared at it silently. Then there was a rap, rap, rap on the window right next to us. The lights were on the outside and there was absolutely no one out there. We never touched the effing board again. Number 4, forgotten memory. Growing up, my bedroom was the only one that faced the front of the house/street. When I was about 8 or 9, I woke up to my dad calmly but firmly telling me to get up and go to the bathroom. and shut the door. I was annoyed because I was half asleep, but I listened. Apparently, I was more tired than I realized because I fell asleep on the bathroom floor. The next morning, I asked my mom what happened. She seemed oblivious and confused. I looked at my dad like she was crazy, and I asked him why he had woke me up. He denied doing it. I was becoming frustrated to the point of tears, but I ultimately let it go. Fast forward to college, I was home one break and I decided to ask again. I had thought of that night off and on for years, and it still bothered me. This time my dad goes, I was wondering if you ever remembered that. Turns out that someone had broken into the garage and was inside the house. My room was partially over the garage. My dad heard it happen and quietly got me to safety. Police were called and the guy ran. He was never caught. However, my parents didn't want a terrified kid on their hands, so for years, they pretended like nothing had happened. It wasn't supernatural, but it was still unsettling for sure. Wow. Dude, these stories, they're more about people causing trouble than, spirits. The fifth story is a Clockwork Orange style break-in. Not to me, but my sister. Her husband and her just had their first child a few months prior. My brother-in-law was working the graveyard shift at his job as my sister stayed home taking care of my nephew. Around 2 a.m., she heard a loud knock on her back door. She went to check it out and saw a lady banging on the door and asking for my sister to let her in. The lady told my sister that her husband had just beat her down the street and was looking for her. My sister was hesitant to let her in since she had a newborn in the house and didn't want to interfere. She told the lady that the best she could do was call the cops for her. The lady told my sister not to call the police and let her in. This is where my sister got suspicious. She went to her phone and called 911. When she went back to the door, the lady was gone. The police arrived a few minutes later, and they told my sister that the same situation happened a few streets down. Apparently, the couple would do this act to get into people's homes. I'm sure this is very common, but having it almost happen to my sister and nephew just creeps me out. Some real Clockwork Orange. Number 6. Phantom alarms. When I was in high school, I had a lot of these experiences. At the house my dad lived in at the time, it was really old, built in the early 1800s. There were plenty of times I'd be sitting in the living room and distinctly hear the cabinets opening and closing in the kitchen. It was just me and my dad that lived in the house, and you could clearly see when his bedroom door was shut and he was asleep, but still hear it. Normally my dad worked 7 to 3, but occasionally worked a PM or overnight shift. One night he was working until 11 and I was 17 at the time. Around 8 or so, I'm sitting in my room playing Borderlands and think I hear footsteps coming from the living room, which was adjacent to my bedroom, and assume my dad's home early. Go back to playing Borderlands. I keep hearing the steps, so I pause the game and listen, and the footsteps are just slowly pacing back and forth between living room and the kitchen. I laid in bed scared and actually counted the steps. Every time it took 15 paces to the living room, 15 paces back to the kitchen. Needless to say, I did not sleep that night. Had another situation at my mom's house about 2 years prior to this. Out of nowhere, my alarm clock would go off at midnight every night. I assume it was busted and I got rid of it. Fast forward 2 years, my mom gets another and brand new alarm clock for my room. Suddenly, alarm goes off at midnight. I thought nothing of it. Turned it off. Happened again the next night. And then my sister pointed out the old one I had that did it. So I checked and made sure no alarms were set. Double checked at 11:56. Sure enough, 4 minutes later, my alarm goes off. Freaked out and I threw it out. That next night was my dad's night to have me. I had a buddy of mine over and my dad was working that night. He left for work around 2 a.m. and my friend had brought over an iPod dock to listen to music on. Didn't have a clock set or anything. My friend knew nothing of the last couple of nights, so I knew he wasn't just with me. So about 2 minutes after my dad leaves, we hear an alarm clock coming from my room. I went in, and you know how if you plug in the clock without setting it, the numbers just blink on and off? Well, it was doing that. As soon as I picked it up, the clock set itself to 12 p.m. and then just turned off by itself. So yeah, paranormal. I'm not religious at all, but I am 100% convinced that this happened. Honestly, this story that I read, I feel like this is more of an actual person telling their story. It doesn't seem scripted or anything. It doesn't seem like it's meant to be a like little mini horror story just to scare others. This one seemed legit, not because like alarm clock, but because he's actually genuinely cussing. I don't think out of the 3 stories that we've read, or the couple of stories that we've read, people have cussed. So I'm like genuinely convinced that this person actually went through this. This is where I'm gonna stop reading. Who knows, I might come back to this website and read it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell button for more future videos, even though that YouTube still doesn't notify people when my videos are posted, so I post it all over social media. And let me know if you guys want to see more of these. I will be reading some stories throughout October, and let me know what else you guys want to see. I might be doing some SFX makeup looks, but I can't promise you guys that I'm good at it. I'm actually just a beginner at doing SFX. If you guys want to follow me in my social medias, they will be in the description down below. I love you guys very, very much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Stay spooky, weirdos. Bye!